Welcome back to Weird Hi-Fi. As I mentioned in a reel earlier this week, I said I was going to get this damn thing done, and I did it. And I want to walk you through why I made such a big deal out of it, and then once again why this has caused me so much stress. I mean, the bottom line is, if I screw this thing up, I throw this thing away and start from scratch and having to make another one, and damn it, that's a lot of work. I mentioned that this up here was one of the sketchiest things that I've had the router, mainly because one, you got to use this gnarly bit right here, which it is, I mean, it's big, it's crazy. And, you know, this thing curves, you know, it's a curve. And so in order to make the jig, it had to account for the curve this way and account for the curve this way. And that means setting and making a jig to where the router bit on a hand router has to follow this contour. And look how thick it is. I mean, it's pretty darn thick. I think about 1.5 inches is what I originally designed it for. And that means having to kind of do something similar down here. Same bit, this gnarly bad boy, to route out this hole. So it's not only the hole, the pass-through hole, but it's also where the basket itself will rest, and it's got to account for a beauty ring that sits on top that will be flushed in. So, seen a couple posts, some people, why don't just do a perfect circle? Or, you know, one of these guys up there. No bueno, can't happen. Why? Because I'm gonna drill a hole here and I'm gonna start spinning that thing around. And what's gonna happen is either A, it's gonna get caught and stuck because once again, it curves out this way pretty substantially. Or it's gonna lift the center pin out this way. And then it will not router true and straight. It will be different from here to here depth-wise when I move around, if I can move around. The second is because it is higher on the bottom than the top, it'll be probably at an angle. Actually, it will be at an angle. The passive radiator would be aiming upwards. And not only would that look goofy, I need these to be a perfect piston. I need these to be true vertically at a 90. So these things can act like a piston, perfect piston, towards each other. So those are the problems. The solution. Well, it's a two-part jig. Part A, part B. Part A, will sit like this. I will screw it into place, top and bottom. It sits flush to bottom. It sits flush to top. Made some gussets here so it is strong. And what will happen is, with a router, I will route out all the way around. And that's kind of the first big challenge. And you know, once again, it's got to accommodate the depth of the passive radiator, and it's got to accommodate most of the depth of this. It doesn't have to be perfectly flush because with it being contoured, I want this to stick proud, and then I'll sand it to the contour manually. Then it came to another problem. If the hole for the passive radiator isn't perfectly centered within this area, then what will happen is the passive radiator will be shifted to one side, and then this beauty ring that sits perfectly flush inside this hole would touch the surround of the passive radiator at some point. And that means that I can't have a jig that is multi-piece in the way that I would have to unscrew this and put a new one on. What I had to do was I had to make a perfect centerpiece that indexes on top of this. It also cannot be too thick, because then this here would never reach to the wood because of the depth you know, I have the depth to work with. And the solution essentially was to make, and once again, this thing fits perfectly in this hole. This right here, the inner diameter, is exactly the mounting hole diameter for the passive radiator. This outside dimension is routed to the exact outside dimension of this piece minus these additions. And as you can see, with one hand, fits right in perfectly. So, kind of reiterating, screw this bad boy in place, pray, do some routering, and it'll, and then part B would be to put this in place. It's hard to do with one hand. Put this in place, start the routering, then take a jigsaw, cut the center hole, and then router out the remaining wood in order to make the hole for the passive radiator. Yep, super sketchy, can't wait. But I'm pretty confident in this working. It's really rigid, it's not gonna move, it's not gonna bow or flex, and it's not gonna break on me while I'm routering. That's what I got, people. More to come.